All right, guys, we're doing a little bit of an experiment back here. When I first put this boat together, it had a bronze impeller in it, and it was we didn't even leave the dock with it because it was knocking in there. The impeller was physically bouncing off of the wear ring inside there, and I'm told it, you know, since then that it's kind of it was kind of normal with a bronze impeller because they're so damn heavy and they probably weren't balanced very well. But and that it would clear up as soon as you drove it, and they would only do it at idle, I guess. But I didn't even drive it. It was scaring the hell out of me. It was not a good sound at all. So we tore the thing back down, and I put this standard A-cut aluminum impeller in it, and that was it. We just put it back together, and I've been running it that way for 3 years with the wear ring that was in it, this one. So I wanted to change the wear ring, and I figured if I'm taking it back apart again, like I might as well experiment with a different impeller. So this is a C cut. So this A, this is like your standard impeller. This is like 90% of jet boats had A impellers. It's a perfect impeller for a big block because it limits most, it governs most of these stock big blocks that came in all these boats. Definitely Oldsmobile, the Ford, and most of the Chevrolet big blocks had peanut port heads. It's basically a truck engine. They're like 270, 280, 90 horsepower, like not a lot of power. Same thing. All of those motors are making peak power at 4,000 RPMs. So this impeller was perfect for them. Not really perfect for this boat. So a C impeller should allow it to turn 5,000 RPMs. It's looser, smaller. You can see that these vanes come all the way to the outside. These are cut back in. You can buy a C impeller that was made a C impeller, or you can send a impeller in and they'll cut it down to a C, or whatever, as long as it's a smaller size, B, C, D. You can see that's what this one is. All the machining marks on it. It used to be an A. So the good thing about the A impeller is because it's such a big impeller, it gives you a lot of bottom end thrust. You get a really good hole shot with it. And that's kind of why I've been reluctant to even do anything with it. I was just leaving it in there, even though it's been limiting this motor to 4,000 RPMs. So this is going to negatively affect the hole shot, this impeller. But I just don't know if it's going to be a wash because the wear ring, like I said, we never replaced it. I just stabbed this aluminum one in there, pulled the bronze one out. I didn't do anything with the wear ring at the time, which is stupid. I should have. It was $100. Like, I don't know why I didn't change it, but so had a really bad wear ring. Wear ring affects bottom end, not really wide open throttle. It doesn't hardly affect that at all, actually. It just it makes the pump take a longer amount of time to pressurize the bowl. Is what a wear ring does. So it mostly affects your hole shot and bottom end, your thrust out of the hole. So that's why I'm wondering if this is just going to be a wash because I got a new wear ring in it now and a verified, really good impeller. The wear ring surface on the impeller too. So we've gone back to 100% factory. It should be sealed up really good now. But I'm going to lose some with this impeller, and I was just hoping that it's just going to be a wash, and it kind of gets out of the hole the same. But I guess we'll see. If there's any sacrifice it all. Like if the whole shot is noticeably worse, like I'm not gonna leave it in there. It's I'll probably put the A back in it. And then the solution is you want to turn more RPMs, you make more horsepower. Like you pull the 4.8 out and you put a 6.0 in it, and then you put the A back in, and then it'll be fine because a good running 6.0 will turn an A impeller probably 5,000 RPMs, if not more. So yeah, we're gonna keep that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to try this just to see what it does. If you look at a engine dyno chart for a 4.8 liter, a stock 4.8 truck engine, at 4,000 RPMs, it's only making 200 horsepower, which is exactly what the Berkeley impeller chart was telling me. And I was confused at first, like, how am I only making 200 horsepower? Because it's only letting it turn 4,000 RPMs. That's why. That's literally all it makes. So I've been running around this whole time with 200 horsepower. So if I can let it turn 5,000 RPMs, it'll be making 260, 270 horsepower, almost peak power. So I don't know why I'm so concerned about that. Like the way the bottom is right now, like it's kind of a little bit sketchy at high speeds. And now I'm going to add 60, 70 more horsepower to it. So I don't know. This thing came up for sale on Marketplace. I got a hold of the guy, and turns out he knows all about this boat. Because he's on some LS swapped jet boat page or something on Facebook that I'm on. So he's like, I'm just gonna send you the impeller, and if you don't like it, send it back. And he's like, because I don't think you're gonna like it. I'm like, okay, but he's like, you're it's gonna hurt your whole shot, and obviously your cruising RPMs are gonna go up. So, I guess we'll see. I'm actually okay with my cruising RPMs going up because I'm usually at 2,500, 3,000 RPMs. The 4.8 makes peak torque at 4,000 RPMs. So I think if I'm cruising around at 3,500, 4,000 RPMs, I don't even think the boat is going to get that much worse fuel economy. If I'm coming up on peak torque. So I'm fine with that. I just don't want to. I don't want to kill the whole shot. The whole shot is more important than anything. Way more important than freaking wide open throttle. I need the boat to get out of the water quickly. You end up in these sections of river that, like, you have to get off plane because you come around a corner and there's 6 kayaks all the way across the river. So you get off plane, well, you're in a foot of water. Like, as soon as you get off plane, you're dragging the bottom. So now you're kind of just floating along waiting for a hole, preferably a corner. When the river turns, you got a real sharp corner. It gets deep as hell. But you have a hole, and that's it. Like, you got to get the boat up on plane right now because there's no water underneath you. So I guess we'll see. We'll see how much worse it is with this impeller, but maybe the new wear ring will just make up for it, and it'll kind of act the same as it does now. So, but yeah, I didn't want to buy their socket, so I just made this one. I took a socket, cut it in half, welded a piece of pipe in there to do the impeller socket, or the impeller nut. And then I made this puller a while ago too. It sits on there like that. And then there's a little register back in there. And you put these in behind there. And I just made it out of a couple washers, so then you bolt this through into your two little halves that you put in there and pulls the impeller off. The impeller doesn't come off terribly hard. They're not like, really pressed on there super hard. At least the ones that I've dealt with anyway. So it's not terribly hard to do this. It's just the transom housing. It's kind of sucks because I glue the whole thing down. Like, it's all RTV silicone down. So you got to cut all that crap out of the way and get the transom housing out of the way first. And once you get past that, like pulling the bowl off is a piece of cake. It's easy. That's the advantage of the cartridge style pumps, the setback pumps, 12JE. Um, is the entire thing is just outside the boat. This is way back here. There's no transom housing at all. The pump just bolts into the boat. It's all one piece. There's not a separate intake casting and then a suction housing and all that stuff like a 12JC like this. Like they just slam them right in, and but it's way easier to, you can just go walk right up to them and start taking the bolts off the bowl and pull the bowl off, you know. But I looked at it like the 12JC is going to be easier to set up in a different boat, because of the fact that you have all these separate castings, you can just get the base intake casting in the boat and then work your way from there, versus having to have this real strange kind of hole in the back of the boat that starts underneath and then wraps up onto the transom. I don't know. They might not be as bad to get bolted into an aluminum boat, compared to these. I'm talking about building multiples of these things, so I might try that at some point. Just get a 12JE and see if it's easier or harder. But it just seemed to me like it was going to be a lot harder. But all right, so yeah, let me cut out, and I will report back with my findings on this, or maybe you'll read about me in the newspaper.